everybody. It's Rob again. It's time for another member talk. Today we're with a good friend of mine, a guy that I've known for a number of years. I bet you can't guess where he's from. I'll give you a little hint. Wilbert Vault Company. We have Gary Curtis with us today. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here, Rob.
Thanks for coming on and joining us. We wanted to get you on here and talk about quite a number of stuff. But let's start. Let's start with Wilbert. Now, people know the name Wilbert. People in the funeral profession know the name Wilbert. They know, they've at least heard it or seen it. First off, thank you for the nice hat, which I'll continue to wear and advertise for you here. But tell us, what is Wilbert? Wilbert is not just burial vaults. It is a whole bunch of stuff. Tell us about the history of Wilbert real quick.
Sure. Well, Wilbert is a franchise, so kind of like a McDonald's, I guess. You buy a territory, and Wilbert in the Spokane or Eastern Washington, North Idaho area has been around for quite a while. Our particular company started in 1906. We weren't established with Wilbert at that time because Wilbert didn't exist in the form it is today, but Wilbert Precast out of Spokane started in 1906. We've been around for 114 years, and we got our start making burial vaults. And one other product, we made concrete sinks. So if you ever go into an older house in Spokane, go down into the basement, there's a chance there's a concrete wash tub type thing. That's a Wilbert product. And we made a bunch of them back then. But eventually, we stopped making those, and we really kind of got down the track of making, in the funeral industry, of making burial vaults and grave liners.
Gotcha. So, wow, that's a long time in this area. We've been around for 120 years, our association. So you guys have been kind of neck and neck with us all the way through as we've gone through these last 100 and some odd years.
Oh, yeah. And that's the beautiful thing. Wilbert has these relationships that are, a century old with lots of funeral homes. So it's been generation after generation that we maintain these relationships. And it's a point of pride for our whole company.
Sure. Now, so Wilbert Vault, or Wilbert Precast, that's what we call it. What's the general area that you cover yourself?
Well, we have three plants. There's Spokane, Yakima, and Lewiston, Idaho. Those are three plants where we manufacture from. And so we go as far west as Cle Elum, as far east as the Montana border, and north to the Canadian border, and south as far as Grangeville, Idaho. So that's a pretty good area to cover. I don't know how many square miles it is. I think our owner told me once, but memory failed me on that. But yeah, it's a big area, and we sell a lot of different products in all those areas. But for Wilbert burial vaults, that's kind of our confined area. That's our location.
That's a sizable chunk of land. Now, we had just a little bit of internet instability there. You said as far south as, and then it paused. What was that far south part?
Grangeville, Idaho.
Okay, yep. So yeah, you got just a huge amount of territory. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Eastern Washington, there's a lot of miles in between all the towns in that huge area. It's about a 15-mile jaunt from what I've found. About every 15 miles there's a town, and then another 15 miles in a town. So it takes a while to get from point A to point B in that particular geographical region. And you guys are always out there. I see you on the road pretty regularly, the big blue boom trucks carrying burial vaults up and down the highway.
Well, yeah, and other products. So yeah, so we're all over the place. Yeah, you have to remember we make, as a diversified company, we also make ready rock, light pole bases. We do custom work. We do work for the Department of Energy and the Corps of Engineers. We've done some really cool custom work. We've done some for Nike and their new building on the West Coast. And we do all kinds of utility buildings too. So sometimes if you're in a rest stop, that restroom might be a Wilbert product because we've made a bunch of those too. So we're all over the place as far as interesting projects. We love to get into some of the custom work as well.
Sure. Well, let's kind of focus that work down to the funeral profession. Wilbert's not just burial vaults. Wilbert has expanded. What you guys are doing there has really just opened up. Tell us some of the different features and products of what Wilbert does for funeral profession.
Sure. So we're kind of a one-stop shop. I don't think a lot of people know that, although I'm trying my best to get the word out. But yeah, we do. Of course, we do all the different burial vaults that people are familiar with, and grave liners as well. But we also sell, the full line of urns. And so we have our own catalog. We've also gone outside of that catalog, and we've got some other interesting ones. I try to show something. If I find something in the market that's kind of interesting, that I think fits our geographic location that people might like, I'll go ahead and bring it in, and then I'll let people know we've got it. So we've got the urns. We do open and close services in 2 of our 3 locations. We do it for Lewiston and Spokane. Don't do it Yakima yet, but it's something we'd like to get into, but we're not there yet. But for a large part of our territory, we open and close graves. We have contracts with lots of the different cemeteries in the area. And then even if they don't have a contract, if they call us, we'll come do it. But we also build mausoleums and niche walls. Of course, we carry the Pierce chemical line, which means it's not only just the chemicals, but all of the other products that are involved. So anything in the back room of a funeral home, yeah, we carry all those products. You can order those. And we also have a granite company. We have Genesis Granite, which is a small granite company that we don't advertise too greatly. It's kind of a smaller company we acquired about 4 years ago. And so we still run that out of our Spokane location.
I've got a couple family members that have the end product of Genesis Granite in cemeteries around Washington. They did a great job. Yeah. I enjoyed them. Well, so let's talk a little bit about that, because it is kind of a one-stop shop, and it all kind of funnels to you as that representative. Is that right? Everybody would talk to you to get that information, or?
Yeah. Of course, we have a website like every other company that you can glean that information from. But yeah, that's really my position, is to kind of be that person that you can call with a question, or if you're looking for information, I'm your guy. I'll take your order too. Although sometimes, honestly, like you, I'm on the road a lot, so sometimes people will call with an order. But I'm glad to take the order. I'll just have to pull over. Write it down.
Well, I was excited to get you on here and get you pinned down, because I do know that you are very busy. I've see you at conventions, I see you at meetings all the time. I've been at funeral homes doing stuff, and you've walked in to meet with the funeral home owner, and it's just here comes Gary.
Yeah.
So you're always moving, and that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I love that about the job, is that I'm not stuck behind a desk most times. I'm pretty mobile. The COVID situation has kind of cut into that a little bit. I think it's cut down on for all of us. We're not traveling quite as much as we did before. When it first hit, I really clamped down and wasn't really traveling much at all. Recently, I have been traveling again, but now the COVID's kind of exploding in our geographic area again. So I'm trying to be careful about that. I always mask up, obey, social distancing rules.
Sure.
But I also recognize there's some people that are just uncomfortable with the idea of having someone who's moving around a lot, interacting with people coming in. And so I want to respect that. It's one of the reasons why we do those, and you mentioned it earlier about our CE credit classes that we do. So I put those on. I try to put one on at least once a week. I've missed a few weeks here and there, but try to do that. It's one way that I can provide some value to funeral directors. It's a nice way to get to meet people again and get in front of them. We can see their smiling faces and interact a little bit before and after the meeting. And so we really enjoy that. And I've got, 5, maybe 6 different topics that I've used, so I can keep mixing it up and keep everybody engaged as much as possible.
Yeah. I've been fortunate to be a part of some of those classes that you've done. They're fun. They're fun, and you know, you learn something from everyone. That's the great part, is you can always take something out of it. The nice thing is they're free. You don't have to be you don't have to pay for them. You don't have to be a special member of something. It's a free class that you know, that you're putting on, and it's just through Zoom like this, and you know, you get your 1 hour continuing ed credit.
Right. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. I really love that about it. Like I said, try to keep it moving, try to keep it interesting. I think my favorite one is on ethics, and ethics can be kind of dry. So I've kind of injected a few things in there. If you've seen it, you know, it's about shipwrecks and psychopaths, and how I kind of mix that up together and put it together with ethics for a funeral director. And so I try to do that with all of them. That's probably the one that's worked out the best, though. So if people are seeing this and you haven't been to that particular class, and I offer it again, and I will occasionally, that'd be the one not to miss. Well,
I want to kind of go out on a limb here and just give you my interpretation of it, if you will. I think that a lot of people might hear that, oh, Wilbert's putting on a CE class. It's coming from me. I've been to them. These are not, this is why you need a burial vault versus a grave liner or something else classes. These are not those types of classes. These are actually good content classes. The one that I was really excited about was how to do Zoom meetings better. And in the day where we do Zoom meetings, I do 2 or 3 Zoom meetings a day. I got some stuff out of there that I never thought of before. But you mentioned it in your class, and I've started doing it, and amazing the difference in how the meetings go, as far as the internet connection and things, shutting everything else down, restarting your computer, that sort of stuff before you do the Zoom, just so everything's refreshed. Amazes me how much better the quality of the video presentation is, and that's something that I learned from one of your classes.
Oh, well, I'm glad you picked that up. We did have one particular director who would logged on to that particular meeting, and she called me later and said that like an hour after she took that class, she had a family call her and said they were scattered all over the world. Some were in like the Middle East, and some were in Europe, and some were all over the United States. And, you know, a family member had died, and they all wanted to join via a platform like that. And they asked her if she could do it. And she said, before the class, my answer would have been no. But she goes, since I had the class, I figured it wasn't like total rocket science. I knew enough to say yes. And she goes, we did it. It was a huge success. So I hope other people have been able to gain enough working knowledge from just that and it's not like it's, I'm an expert in Zoom. I use it quite a bit, but you know, a lot of people just need a little bit of reassurance that it's not that difficult and they can jump in and pull it off.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's such an easy platform to use. And I know in that class, we talked about all sorts of different types of platforms and the pros and the cons. And, you know, Zoom really just comes back as the one that for me works the best. I know there's a lot to choose from, but it's easy, it's usable. You don't have to have, it's free, which is nice. Or they have a free version of it, which is nice. But yeah, it's a great program. And I think we're seeing a lot more funeral providers starting to use this, especially, you know, with this pandemic that we're in. We're seeing a lot more arrangements done through it. We're seeing a lot more funerals done through it.
Yep.
I've heard of visitations being done through Zoom, you know, and that's been kind of an interesting thing as well. So there's, you know, people are using it for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
we're planning on using it for our Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
We're going to have the Zoom giving, it's called. We dubbed it the Zoom giving. So it'll be fun. Well, Gary, one thing I wanted to get, I thought I was going to have it ready for us for the meeting, but I don't. But you're even kind of a published author out there now. We've got your, what was this, October's version?
That was
October 2020 of the Nomus News.
Yes.
You're in it.
Yeah, I wrote up a little article. It was actually based on the last Zoom CE credit thing I put together. As I was putting together the program, I thought, you know, this would make a good article because I had one of those sitting on my desk. I thought, I could write this up and submit it and see what they say. I mean, they can always say no,
Yeah.
but they took it and they said, yes, but you have to cut it down by about half. I had way too much content. And even then, after I read it now, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of information in an article. So they were right in making me cut it down. But yeah, I was very happy that they wanted to publish that. So yeah.
Well, that's really great. That's really great. How's it look for you for coming up this year? Are you anticipating being able to get out more with the funeral homes and conventions? What are your thoughts there? Are you thinking you're going to be able to do more of that, or are we thinking we may want to look into some other options still?
Well, of course, if we have a convention, I'll probably be there. But I don't get to say yes or no whether the conventions happen. I would probably attend one if we get to have one. Look, I miss visiting face to face with all the friends I've made, in Eastern Washington and North Idaho. So I do miss that. I miss the interaction. We can always do a Zoom meeting, and there's phone calls and all other ways that we've come up with to stay connected. But as you probably know, there's nothing quite the same as, sitting across the table from someone and being able to interact with them. So as much as we miss it, we'll do what we have to do to go forward. But of course, it's really not the same. And I think everyone feels that. But at the same time, we want to be safe. We don't want to get anybody sick. So it's a fine line. And unfortunately, COVID right now, the time we're talking, is kind of on a spike here in Eastern Washington. So it's probably not the time to be out calling one funeral home after another. I do make my rounds occasionally. If somebody needs something, I'm glad to bring it. So I bring a lot of urns to the local people here in Spokane, basically just delivering them as they need them. But, as far as some of the outlying areas, we still ship them from different areas. And again, I try to make the rounds via the telephone and Zoom if possible. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret, and it's just between you and me. So, and probably everybody watching this, we are working towards and keeping our fingers crossed that we will be having that convention this what is it, August? I guess we've scheduled it for. So we are working towards it. We're still planning to be live and in person, but it's going to really depend, just like it did last year, on what the county there says we can and can't do. We were ready for it last year, but the county wasn't. But they just, with the meeting restrictions, it just wouldn't be feasible to be able to have that many people in a room. They limited us to, I think it was 30 at the time, or maybe even 50 people. And that was well under what we had anticipated being. So we had to cancel it, but we're moving forward with the idea that hopefully it will open up and we can do this again.
Yeah.
So get your booth ready.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it if it comes to pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if not, the good news is we all know how to do Zoom. So
that's right too. And if you don't, come to one of my classes.
That's right. That's right. Well, Gary, I know we're getting a little bit lengthy here. I want to say thank you for coming on and talking with us. Wilbert Precast here in Spokane. I've been a part of that group for years and years and years. I've been very fortunate to know Dan and everybody up there. And it's been nice to get to know you over the years and just to see where the company's going. Back when I first came here, it was pretty much a vault company. At least, well, I shouldn't say pretty much a vault company. For the funeral side of things, it was pretty much a vault company with a few burial urns. But now with the Pierce Chemicals, the granite company that's in there involved with it, the urns. I mean, you guys, like you said, it's a one-stop shop, and it's really grown immensely. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to Wilbert and for keeping that going through all these years.
Yeah, it's really a passion of Dan's to keep it going. And I really applaud him for that because he's got a lot of irons in the fire. But when it comes to this segment of the business, he really does have a passion for it. He got his start at Wilbert, setting tents and doing graveside services. And then he had my job, and then he worked his way up, and eventually, bought the company from his dad. And,
Yep.
but he has it. I think it gets in your blood, and he definitely has a passion for this. And it comes out in his actions too, because he continues to invest and to work this part of the segment of the business very actively.
Yeah. I got to tell you just a quick story. I was going to a graveside service just south of us here in Spokane, one of these little communities down there. And I remember we pulled up. I was driving the hearse. We pulled into the cemetery, and the cemetery sits. You pull in down here, but the top of the grave is way up here, and you have to kind of work your way up to the top of the cemetery to where the graves are at. And it's an interesting area because there's a lot of wind, and the wind actually swirls around the cemetery almost constantly just because of how it blows through that area. And I remember pulling in, had a whole line of people in a procession behind me. As I turned the corner at the gate, I looked up the hill and I saw the blue Wilbert tent sitting up there. And I thought, oh, okay, great. That's where we're at. And all of a sudden the tent was gone. And I thought, what in the world just happened? Because I couldn't see nothing. It was so far below the hill. And as I made my way up the hill, I realized what happened was a gust of wind came up and actually picked the tent up, and all the legs went out, and the tent fell to the ground over the top of the grave. But one of the legs actually came down and hit the stopper on the rail for the vault lid. And of course, because it was on a hill, the vault lid rolled right off the rail and onto the ground. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? How do we get the vault lid up? And the only saving grace, I got to tell you, was the person that we were having the service for was a relative of one of the Wilbert guys that was there.
Oh, okay.
And so all the people from Wilbert said, no worries, we'll fix this. Everybody grabbed a piece of that vault lid and lifted it back up on the rail, set it back down, popped the tent up real quick, and nobody said a word about it. We just kept moving forward. And it was like, if that would have been any other family, that would have been a huge issue. But because it was, this was Wilbert, we got through it okay. But I still remember that every time I go to that cemetery, I'm looking up that hill and watching that tent and then seeing it disappear real quick.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of demonstrates our can-do attitude. I mean, that's kind of what we try to instill in the guys. It's like, we get one chance to get this right for the family. Yeah. And so we really kind of drill that into our guys. It's kind of our mantra. We get one chance to do this right. And so we do everything we can to make that happen. And sometimes, wind or rain or snow or it can throw us a curveball, but we do our best to make sure that the families are always taken well care of.
Well, and I want to tell you one other quick thing about just what you just said there. I've had so many times where I've received a call. I've been at a funeral and I've received a call from somebody at Wilbert, and it's usually the driver that's setting up the service at the graveside before we're getting there. And you get that call from them and you just panic because they're saying, we can't do the setup at the gravesite because of whatever reason. We can't access it. It's too muddy. It's too whatever. We have to do a false setup somewhere else, away from the gravesite. And they're giving us advance warning to be able to share that with the family before we leave for the grave. And it's always such a nerve-wracking call because it goes through your mind, what's this going to be like when we get there? How's it going to look? But I've never in my life had an experience where we've pulled up to that sort of a situation and it's been a bad experience because of the fact that they called, they prepared us, they told us, and then they found a safe, easy spot to set up the actual grave. The family, I've never had a family that's complained about it. They've always said the same thing. We realize we can't get to the actual grave for whatever reason. This is the next best thing, and you guys have just hit the ball out of the park on it. You did great. So I wanted to share that with you too, because I've had a lot of compliments based off of what you guys have done for that. And so, I always think that it's great to be able to pass those along. And I want you to know that. I want your drivers to know that. I want Dan to know that. You guys are doing a great job up there, and excited for you.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate getting that feedback. That's nice to hear.
So that being said, Gary, how do we reach you? How do we get in touch with you? What's your email?
It's G Curtis. So GCURTIS at WilbertPrecast.com.
G Curtis at WilbertPrecast.com.
Yep. That's how you
So
can get
if you need a vault, you need a liner, you need an urn, whatever kind of urn, you got a bazillion different ones to choose from. You need anything for your prep room. Gosh, what else you got there?
We got the granite. We do open closes. Yeah, all of it.
You got you've got the, what do we call it? The legacy.
Legacy
top.
prints. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
Those are really cool too.
Yeah, those are really cool. We bought our own wide format printer so we can print them ourselves in Spokane. And honestly, it's probably one of the coolest things that we've done in quite a while as far as a way to personalize the service, because we don't charge for it. It does have to go on a nicer vault, a Venetian or better, but that's only because it has to be on a flat, smooth surface.
Yeah.
So it has to be on a Venetian or better. But the wow factor is really out of the park. You have people coming up and you'll see family members taking pictures of it. They'll write something. They can get a Sharpie and write a goodbye on top of it. But yeah, and we can do pretty much anything on top of that legacy print. We can put pictures of the deceased on there. If grandma loved bumblebees, we can do a bumblebee theme. If it was butterflies, or they have a favorite cabin in the lake and they've got a picture of it, we can put that in there too. So really the options are pretty wide open as far as what we can put on there. Just need a good quality picture. And if you don't have a personal one, we can pull from stock footage and put an image of pretty much anything you want.
Sure. Well, Gary Curtis, Wilbert Precast, awesome. Thanks for coming on and being a part of it. You want to get a hold of Gary? You want to get some products? You want to get one of these cool hats? There it is.
I've got hats if you want.
The secret to getting the hat is you have to attend the convention, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's a good place to get one.
Gary, thanks for coming on. Tell Dan hi. Tell everybody up there hi for us. And we're excited to partner with you. We're excited to have you guys as one of our funeral partners. And thanks for everything you do.
Oh, we appreciate hearing that. Thank you.
All right. Gary Curtis, Wilbert Precast. Till next time. See you guys.